Let's look at the sign rules for factoring trinomials. First, you should always look at the last sign. If the last sign is positive, what kind of numbers could have multiplied to give you a positive? They could both be positive, or they could both be negative. So to multiply to get a positive, we have to have like signs. Now, we don't know which they are, so we have to look back then and take the sign of the middle term. So for this problem, we look at the last sign. It's a positive, so it says our signs are going to be alike, either plus plus or minus minus. We have to look back to the sign of the middle term to decide. For this situation, we're going to have both positive signs. Let's look at this trinomial. We would first go to the last sign, and it is positive, so it says our signs are going to be alike, either two positives or two negatives. We don't know which, so we have to go back and we will take the sign of the middle term. So we're going to have two negative signs in this setup. Let's look at this trinomial. This time our last sign of the trinomial is a negative. What kind of numbers multiply to give a negative? You have to have one of each. You're going to need a positive and a negative. The order doesn't matter until you put the numbers in. So it could be negative, positive. But to get a negative when you multiply, you must have one of each. So we can put these signs in. We don't have to look back to the middle term. For this trinomial, we will look at the last sign. Since the last sign is negative, we know that we will have one of each, a plus and a minus, and we can just put them in. The order doesn't matter until we fill in the numbers. We don't have to look back. Let's practice finding the signs for these trinomials. So first we will look at the last sign. On this one, our last sign is negative. That says our signs are going to be different. We need one of each. We don't have to look back. Problem 2, our last sign is negative. Our signs are going to be different. One of each. We don't have to look back. Third problem, our last sign is positive. That says our signs are going to be alike, either two positives or two negatives. We have to look back at the sign of the middle term to see what they'll be. So this one will have two positive signs. Number 4, look at the last sign. It's a positive. It says our signs will be alike. We have to look back to see what they'll be. They will both be positive. Fifth one, look at the last sign. The last sign is negative. You're going to have one of each. You don't have to look back. You need a negative and a positive to multiply to get a negative. Number 6, the last sign is negative. You're going to have one of each. You don't have to look back. Number 7, the last sign is negative. You're going to have one of each. You don't have to look back. Number 8, the last sign is positive. Your signs are going to be alike. You don't know what? You have to look back and take the sign of the middle term. So both your signs will be negative. This should help you to get your signs into the trinomial. The most common error in factoring trinomials is sign errors. So if you'll work hard on these sign rules, you should be able to avoid those type of errors.